guys, today I'm really excited to get to talk to you a little bit about Inside Out 2. Now, if you follow me on social media, then you know that I was up at Pixar Animation Studios last month for a long lead press day where I got to really explore the behind the scenes of creating this film. There was a press conference with the director, Kelsey Mann, as well. So we really got to dive into Inside Out 2, and I'm very, very excited to get to share some details with you. So I absolutely love the first Inside Out film. For those of you who don't know, it was actually my first red carpet, so it holds a very, very special place in my heart. So I'm very excited for Inside Out 2. And of course, Riley is turning 13, or I should say turns 13. The very beginning, they say she is 13. My daughter's about to turn 13, my oldest, Ivy. So yeah, this is like very, very relatable. Let's put it that way. We got to see the first 30 minutes, which I'm going to talk about in a second without spoilers, don't worry. But I want to tell you about the day they had planned for us because it was very, very, very cool. I got to step inside the recording booth and do the voice of Joy for a scene, which was a very long scene, and I was actually very nervous. There was a lot of lines, but it was a lot of fun, and I'll have that footage to share with you guys soon. That was an absolute blast. I got to design my own character. So we were given emotions and we had to design what that emotion would look like. And I got elation. And I don't know what you can see, but it kind of looks like Big Bird stuck his finger in an electric socket. But this is elation. Very, very happy and excited. Yeah, so that was that. But we got to do that. We got to watch a live scene pitch with an animator actually changing things as the director made notes. We got to watch an editing session. We got to see the differences when different music is used over certain scenes. Like there's the demo day scene, which is in the trailer. They play different music over it, and you could really see how that completely changes the tone of the film. It was very, very interesting. But I want to talk to you a little bit about the first 30 minutes, and then I'm going to dive into, and no spoilers, I promise, and then I'm really going to dive into the stuff we learned from Kelsey Mann, because there's some amazing stuff that I think you guys are going to be very interested to hear about, like how they narrowed down certain emotions popping up and what it looked like originally. So I'm very excited to dive into that with you. But let's talk about the first 30 minutes. So we see Riley, that puberty alarm is going off, demo day, as we've seen in the trailer, and we get to the introduction of the new emotions. And I have to say that Maya Hawke is such a good voice actress. Like, she's a phenomenal actress, but boy, she's so good as anxiety. Really fits in, really captures the anxiety like feeling. And I really enjoyed her meeting Joy and the other core emotions. I love the pacing of this movie. 30 minutes, there's already a lot that's happened, not too much, and we're already in a really good position of like, where are things going to go from here? There's definitely things they could have drawn out longer, but they didn't. And if the pacing keeps up, this is going to be an absolutely phenomenal sequel. I love the combination of, real world and inside Riley's mind. They do a great job of that. An interesting fact, Kelsey Mann said he went back and looked, and it's like not many minutes at all. I think it was like 10 minutes or something like that, maybe not even, that they spent outside of Riley's head in the first one. But there's something about the balance there and when they introduce it and when they are in the real world and when they are in the mind world, that you really don't feel it. It feels like it's perfectly balanced when it's not. And so he wanted to capture that feel again in this one. And so far we've really done that. Now we're seeing Riley, she's older, right? She's 13. She's going through it, okay? We've all been there. Well, most of us have been there. My kid's about to be going through it now. She kind of already is. Like I said, she's about to turn 13, but she has this sense of self now, and you get to see that. There's this really cool actual visual representation of her sense of self, and I'm not gonna lie, I teared up a few times when you hear Riley saying things like, I'm a good friend, and like these memories, these core memories that have formed this sense of self, which I think is very, very brilliant. And then, of course, as we've seen in the trailer as well, the new emotions come in. Anxiety. She's like, yo, guys, you guys are too simple now, basically, right? Riley's more complicated. Just get the heck out of here. And you see they're put in a jar and they're put away. Now, I will say they get put into a vault, which is where Riley keeps her secrets. One of my favorite sequences in the 30 minutes we saw. I don't want to spoil anything, but it's hilarious. The certain things that someone might keep in a vault with their secrets, right? And just imagine, I don't want to spoil anything, but it's fantastic. There's this one character I was like, I'm dying right now because I totally get this. I totally understand. Very, very cool. So anyway, embarrassment is great. Barely says any words. Always has, the hood over his head, which makes perfect sense. Envy's super cute, little tiny, which they said it made sense because she'd be envious of those who are taller. She always wants to be bigger. And she's teeny tiny, which makes sense. And Ennui, that's all Ennui does. Ennui is fantastic. Ennui is my daughter to a T right now. So I absolutely could relate to that. Ennui's hilarious, always on her cell phone, just, I don't want to be here. In the first 30 minutes, this is perfect. There's a great gag with her phone that I don't want to mention because I don't want to ruin it for you guys, but it's great. So Riley is going to hockey camp. There's all this happening. There's this, does she want to be with her friends that are maybe, less mature? Does she want to go to like the mature, older high school kids? Like, does she want to hang out with them? Like, what does she want to do? Where does she fit in? Sort of thing. There's a secret that comes out early on that her friends were keeping from her, and I don't want to ruin that. But there's a lot happening, and this is very like 13-year-old girl, like, oh my God, I don't know what to do with myself. I'm a mess because of puberty. So I really, really enjoyed the first 30 minutes, and I can't wait to see where we go from here. I think the pacing was on point. It looks beautiful. And we found out that they actually had to recreate all the characters because technology hadn't advanced so much that they couldn't just like reuse their like characters from before, so they have to recreate them, and they all look really, really great. There is a little bit of a Bing Bong Easter egg, which they found a loophole because he is technically forgotten, but Joy hasn't forgotten him, but Riley has. So there's a little bit of an Easter egg there, but there's lots of Easter eggs that I saw already just in the first 30 minutes. So have your eyes peeled for those. Now, I do want to tell you of a couple of things that the director mentioned because he let us know that the first iteration of this had 9 new emotions coming in. The point was for Joy to feel, and the other, core emotions there, the other 5, to feel like overwhelmed, but specifically Joy, right? Completely overwhelmed because they're bringing in 9 new emotions. And that included, like, guilt was one of them, but they said it just kind of felt repetitive. There were too many. It was too much to keep track of. It was supposed to be overwhelming for Joy, but it was also overwhelming for the audience. So they cut a lot of those back. So how did they cut them back? Well, they brought in an expert who was actually an expert on the first one, and they said, hey, what emotions are controlling the console? What emotions are running the body at in our teenage years at 13 when you're hitting puberty? Like, what is happening? And I said, well, all the self-conscious ones. So that's why you have anxiety and embarrassed and envy, and Ennui is just a teenager, right? But the self-conscious ones are really driving us because we're worried about what people are going to think about us. You're constantly worried about that, right? You don't want to be embarrassing. You want to be cool. You don't know how to do it. You're awkward, right? That's kind of why middle school's the worst, right? Because we're all dealing with this. And it was also brought up, which I thought was very interesting, is that we're hardwired to know, like, eventually we're going to have to take care of ourselves. So we kind of push our parents away, and those are caregivers, right? Those who are taking care of us at this age because we need to, like, be able to fend for ourselves. But at the same time, we want to have a group of friends or other people, peers, to help us get through this time. And so that's why we want to make good impressions on them, because we don't want to, like, oh no, I'm going to have to go off in the woods by myself and I'm going to die because I have no one to help me. But, like, I can't rely on my parents or my caregivers right now because I need to be able to take care of myself. But also, I'd really love to have a group of peers to do it with. So that's kind of the mindset and kind of how they narrowed down from 9 new emotions to 4 new emotions. And when asked, Kelsey did say, we are going to find out by the end of the film. Couldn't give us details because it wasn't within the first 30 minutes. We are going to find out why the adults do not have these emotions in their head, right? We've seen adults. We've seen their minds. They have the 5. So I don't know. He said something during the press conference in that we kind of have to learn to handle these new emotions. We have to learn to deal with them. So I'm wondering if they are somewhere there and we're going to eventually see. Maybe they have their own room. Maybe they're in the back of the mind. Maybe they're somewhere else. But I think we're going to find out. Well, we definitely are, because he said as a viewer, because he didn't work on the first film. He was on a different Pixar film. So he said as a viewer, like, he really wanted to make sure that, like, this was addressed because it's a question he had. So I find that very interesting. I'm very excited to see where things go with that. But overall, guys, Inside Out 2, it comes out June 14th, and you do not want to miss it. I'm very, very excited to see the rest of this It's the first 30 minutes are great. If they keep this trajectory, we are in for a treat. There's so much more at MamasGeeky.com, MamasGeeky.com, about this, about quotes from the director, the press conference, things I learned, photos, all that sort of stuff. So be sure to check that out. Let me know if you're excited for Inside Out 2 down below. Let me know if you have any questions, and I will try my best to answer them. I'm keeping spoilers close to the chest, although it is only 30 minutes in, so there's not like major spoilers. But there were a few things I think it'd be fun for you guys to discover on your own. Be sure to give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on more videos like this one. Follow me over on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and you guys can check me out at MamasGeeky.com. Thanks. I'll see you next time.